you would never find a Kevin or Alan if you didn't have the same mission as Kevin or Alan. Mm-hmm. So first, identify what your actual mission is, and then maybe you're more likely to attract that in.
Most entrepreneurs are trying to solve their own needs, and then they find other people with that same need. Your target demographic is most likely a previous version of yourself.
Amy, what do we got for questions?
Hi.
Hi.
What's up, Amy?
Hey. First question is, I want to go full time in my business, but I'm not financially there yet. How can I set myself up to quit my 9-to-5 and become a full-time business owner?
I would say right now is double grind time for you. It just went up on the board.
Oh, okay.
Do what you have to do in your business to make sure you keep your job, and with the remaining time you have, like right now, it's almost time to understand that you're not playing a sustainable game. Like, do 2 jobs. So Gary Vee always says this: if you work an 8-hour job, spend 5 hours at night doing your passion. Because I knew somebody once who made really good money at their job, and I was like, hell yeah, that's awesome. You're making a ton of money. But what you're not realizing is you're losing a ton of mastery by not doing the thing you want to do as an entrepreneur full time. So there is a fine line of like waiting too long, overcooking the turkey, I believe is the Evan Carmichael term. Mm-hmm. I would say do that. Go to your job every day like you do. When you get home, you put on your other job hat and you figure out a way to make money. I don't know that there is any other way to do it. I had a call with somebody the other day, and I said that. I said, like, I don't want you to leave your job right now. Okay, this is it. If you want to leave your job faster, find a way to get clients in your business faster. Mm-hmm. And then when you replace your income, you can go. Or build a nest egg first, probably.
That's where I'm going to go with it. So, first of all, whoever asked this great question, you need to figure out where your above water line is. And remember, low expenses is a superpower in entrepreneurship. If you only have $800 worth of bills a month, which would be very challenging, by the way, you can take bigger risks. Whereas if you have a car payment and a house payment, and like, this is one advantage that I had. I had a big nest egg after corporate. I think it was like $150,000. I had a bunch of investments and stuff. But I had super low expenses. That was by design, so I could last a really long time. There's a reason we could weather that storm. It's not every business that can survive for 2 years without making money. That's not even necessarily smart, so don't do that. But I had someone reach out to me recently, and they said, how do I get out of my 9-to-5? And I said, okay, how much cash on hand do you have? How much cash is in your bank account right now? And they said, I think 30 grand. I said, okay, how long could that sustain you? And they said about a year. We calculated the numbers. I said, I want you to double it. I want you to give yourself at least 2 years worth of a runway. You're going to fail forward. You need the time to go mess it all up. Your first product and service is not going to win unless you're lucky. It just, the moment you launch something is the moment the market tells you, like, yo, you suck. And it's just, it is what it is. Very few people knock anything out of the park. Facebook was originally Face Mash. I mean, there's so many examples of this. It's an iterative, long-term game, and you have to put the low expenses and the nest egg in place so that you can weather the storm. That said, it also depends on your risk tolerance. You know, you can try your best to contract on the side with whatever you do in corporate or whatever you do, and then try to make up for that money. So everything's kind of different depending, but I would say make a big nest egg. Try to lower your expenses as much as possible. Like, do you really need Spotify? Do you really need Netflix? And again, that's hardcore because I actually love both of those things, genuinely. But if you keep low expenses, you'll definitely survive much better.
What was this kind of has to go with what Alan said about your first product or service, but we were on a call with Nick Cavuoto, and he said, if you want feedback, ask for money. If you want money, ask for feedback. Very, very powerful. Nick Cavuoto is a wizard.
Yeah, that was fire.
Okay. Amy, what's next?
How do you go about finding your target demographic if you're looking to start your own business?
I'm going to let you begin. I think I'm pretty versed when it comes to the podcast side, but I want to let you go first with the business.
Appreciate that, man.
And then I'll steal your answers.
Oh, of course. Always. No, I'm just joking. So how do you find your target demographic? You have to understand who's in the most pain right now. Okay, most entrepreneurs are trying to solve their own needs, and then they find other people with that same need. So at the beginning of our journey, Kevin was lost, and I was lost prior to that. And both of us, Conversations Change Lives was about contemplating life so that you can design a life you love. Hyperconscious Podcast was being about acutely aware of your thoughts so that you can design a life you love. Because both of us lived lives that were not designed. And so you're kind of solving your own pain. And again, this goes back to the very first thing Kevin said in the keynote, which is basically that entrepreneurship is the very best self-awareness tool you'll ever have. Remember, if you are doing a product or service that you've never been the target demographic for, you're probably not going to market it that well. What's a good example of this? Okay, so let's say you have a product that helps other people do social media more effectively in less time. I guarantee you whoever started that business most likely had that problem. Because for anyone who's tried doing social media consistently, it's absolutely brutal. It's very challenging to show up consistently if you're doing it all yourself. And so that would be my answer. Your target demographic is most likely a previous version of yourself. And here's the other thing. Business is about empathy. You can't empathize with something you've never gone through. So, for example, okay, Kevin and I have a lot of female listeners, but we aren't talking about some things that we've never been through. So, for example, we're never going to give childbirth. We've never had our period, anything like that. I know it's a weird example, but the truth is we can't empathize. I had one person who I wanted to coach, and she said, no offense, but I would really rather have a female coach because I think my cycle, my period is really messing with me in my entrepreneurial endeavors. I think sometimes I'm really up, and I'm like, honestly, I have a great recommendation for you. I ended up recommending my girlfriend because I don't have any idea what that's like, genuinely. And so how do you find your target demographic? It's a previous version of you, most likely, and you have to empathize with their pain, and hopefully your product or service solves that.
I would recommend This Is Marketing by Seth Godin, a great resource for this because it really helps with that. Basically, you have to figure out, so I went through the Starbucks versus Dunkin' Donuts in a previous meetup, but like Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts both serve coffee, bagels, and sweets, but they serve to a different demographic. So you have to get the people that you're trying to serve to say, people like me do things like this. So whoever asked that question, before you ask that question, you realize people like me ask questions when I'm curious. That's one thing. And then the second thing I would say is start to pay attention to advertisements. And why am I saying this? If you watch golf, which I don't, but if you watch golf, you will notice Viagra and Cialis. Why? Because the demographic for golf is older men. If you're watching HGTV, you will notice maybe like Freshly, HelloFresh, shampoo, conditioner. Why? Because predominantly that is a female market, right? When you start paying attention to that, you'll start to see patterns, and you can probably use that to your advantage.
And when you go to the movies, you see previews of other movies because they know that whoever's at the movie theater is a moviegoer. And
social media, that's what an algorithm is. Like social media, when you look at a certain car comes up. When you look at a certain person, they come up more. So it's kind of the same thing. Good answer.
Being an entrepreneur takes sacrifice. What are some things you have had to give up on this journey in order to make it work?
Ah, boy. I've given up. I don't want to say I've given up.
Everything else.
I've traded relationships for sure. I've reallocated time with friends. I really only spend time with people in the growth bucket now. There is very little nostalgia and maintenance. I don't feel necessary. I've told the story many times of 2 years ago not being able to buy Christmas presents for Taryn, which hurts me to this day. Vacations. Like, I haven't taken a vacation in a long time. I won't probably for a long time. Honestly, anything that... I won't say anything. 95% of things that I don't believe are helping us succeed. I still have my things that I do with R&R, but like almost nothing else that I don't think will help me succeed.
Hello everyone, my name is Amy Lenius and I am co-host of the Evolution of Mom podcast. I can't say enough about Kevin, Alan, and their entire team over at Next Level University. When Charisse and I decided to expand our influence to empower and help as many women as possible, we knew that these were the guys to call to make that dream a reality. Not only did they help us with every aspect of our podcast, they have both become mentors in every aspect of my life. If you are looking to level up your life in any way, shape, or form, you are absolutely in the right space. I look forward to seeing this beautiful community of growth-minded people that you guys have created expand, and I can't wait to see all the incredible value I know you're going to bring us in the future. Thank you guys so much.
So this is for what to do if you're an early entrepreneur. So if you have a piece of paper and you're not driving, right at the top of the page, mission, the word mission. The next word I want you to write underneath that is business. The next word I want you to write underneath that is team. The next word underneath that is products and services. All right, so the mission is, so the question was, what have you sacrificed? I would say anything that's not in alignment with what I'm articulating right now. Okay, so the mission, in a very short sentence, is to bring self-improvement into the pocket of every single person on the planet, from anywhere in the planet, completely free. Okay, that's the mission. That's a very short version of it. Then there's the business. The business is the vehicle to achieve the mission. One of the vehicles within the vehicle is the podcast. Okay? Then you've got the team. The team is the one who works and operates the business. But the business is actually a service that serves the clients at the bottom. So products and service, which again is a service, and then clients is under that. So again, mission, business, team, products and services, clients. Okay? So the products and services serve the clients, and then the clients pay money, and then that serves the mission. So it's a cyclical thing. So the original question was basically, what have you had to sacrifice? I would say everything outside of alignment with those things. Entrepreneurship is an all-in game. And there are some people who can dabble. There are some people who are in this business and kind of in this business, and they have multiple businesses, and that's fine. I think that's the rarity, and I think those people usually had done business for years and years and years before they got to the level where they could play that chess game. So I would say, what have I had to sacrifice? Most things that are ordinary and that are common, but what I will say is that what's on the other side of that is unbelievable amounts of growth and fulfillment and contribution. It's a 10 times better life from my perspective, but it requires 10 times more of you. And I'm really glad we're doing this, because it is more rewarding to do what's challenging, and it is more deeply meaningful. The work that we do right now is way more meaningful than the work we used to do before the podcast. It's honestly, it's not even close. And so just understand that, yes, there will be sacrifice, but what you'll get back is a regret-free life, an amazing, magnificent life. And I would never have met Emilia if it wasn't for this mission. So that's another thing, too. It's going to be even beyond your wildest dreams. Yes, it will be harder than you think, but it will also be more magnificent than you think as well.
So the last question is on the board, but I want to say this really quick. One of the things that I think you mentioned was, in the beginning, people won't understand you. They're probably not going to believe in you. I told Alan this. We recorded an episode about this. I went to a wedding with Taryn this weekend, and when I told people what I did for a living, it was like the most exciting thing for them. They were asking questions about speaking and podcasting and how many episodes do you do and how do you make money, and it wasn't the same people doubting it in the beginning, but that's kind of what happens when you stay on the track long enough. Again, that's 3.5, 4 years in, 660 episodes in. But like, if you stay, it is a cool thing. Like, it is. It's something to be proud of if you can succeed as an entrepreneur, particularly if it's in alignment with who you want to be. So I wanted to add that. Amy, do you want to read it?
Sure,
I
yeah.
want to steal your job.
You two were fortunate to know each other and have each other. How do I find my Kevin or Alan?
That's a great question. I'm going to be real. I don't know that you do. I don't know. I just don't know that it's that simple. I think that the odds of us doing this in the same town with a similar childhood, with a similar mission, with a similar work ethic, with the ability both to try to really get rid of our egos and the goal to be the best men we can be, I just find unusually rare. Can you find somebody who is more artistic and somebody who is more visionary? Absolutely. But you got to be very, very careful. Every single person we have ever talked to said, like, yo, you two working together is a giant mistake. Like, you don't ever have a partner. I'm not worried about it. Alan's not worried about it, but we've had those conversations. I think go to networking events, meet people who are doing similar things to you. I don't know that it exists. I got to be real.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
That was
more about me. That's what I was talking about me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with every word.
Nice.
I do, genuinely. I think that what we have is very, very rare, and I think it's something wonderful to aspire to, but I do think it's just understand how rare it is.
And real quick.
Yeah.
The reason we work so well together is because we're in it for similar. I've told Alan before, like, hey, I don't like who you are when you do this, basically. And Alan has said, hey, we're not going to succeed if you don't change this. It's because we want the same thing. It's not about the money. It's not about the most successful podcast. It's about the impact and the mastery. So I think that's an important distinction of you would never find a Kevin or Alan if you didn't have the same mission as Kevin or Alan. Mm-hmm. So first identify what your actual mission is, and then maybe you're more likely to attract that in. I think that's important.
And like we already mentioned too, the Conversations Change Lives podcast, I had Kevin on, and then Hyperconscious podcast, he had me on, and it was both about the same thing. So again, it's super synchronistic. I was raised by my mother and my older sister. He was raised by his mother and his grandmother. Memes,
mom and memes.
And neither one of us had fathers. We spend every Father's Day together. It's too synchronistic to try to replicate. But what I will say is core aspirations, core values, core beliefs. We had the same core aspiration, the same mission, and also the same core values when it comes to character over everything. And we had similar work ethic. If it wasn't for that, there's no way. It's the character over everything that made those tough conversations work out, and it's the mission and it being bigger than us. It's always been bigger than us. And so anytime there was an issue or an ego flare, it was always okay because it was always bigger than us. Yeah. If either one of us ever made it about us, it wouldn't work. And so the original question is, how do I find my Kevin or Alan? Get on your mission now. And maybe someone like Kevin or Alan, your version of it, will be attracted into your life. And I'll use Emilia as a great example of this. Kevin helped me become a better man, and I was able to, as a better man, attract the most magnificent woman. And I think that if you start becoming the best version of yourself now on your own unique flavor of a mission, living in your calling, which you'll know when you feel it, fulfillment is the tell-all, and you're really in alignment with that, and you grow, contribute, you might find a Kevin or Alan. That's what I'll leave it on.
And I think you got to figure out if you're Kevin or Alan. Like, Alan is the visionary. Like, Alan is the one preparing for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 90 years since he wants to make it to $120. I'm not sure I'm quite that committed. And I've always been more the day-to-day kind of short-term profitability, like, I don't want to say realist because that makes it sound somewhat negative, but Alan shoots for the moon, and sometimes I lasso him and say, like, hey, let's do this first. And I just think it's an important thing that we have. And I also would say this as a last thing. If you're looking for somebody to help you as an entrepreneur, understand what your strengths are and understand what your weaknesses are. Alan has never uploaded a YouTube video, like a YouTube episode, but I've also never planned 30 years in the future. Right? Like, that's just not who I am. That wasn't Alan's unique strength. It was putting Alan in the department. I'll say it was Alan putting himself in the department that he was the most valuable, and then allowing me to figure out what I was valuable at. And I think that's an important distinction of, you got to, like Alan said, drop the ego and realize, like, at the end of the day, if it's good for the world, if it's good for business, it's better than just it being good for one of us. And I think that's important, that sometimes I've taken W's and Alan's taken losses, and sometimes Alan's taken losses and I've taken W's, and we always make sure that we're I
think you said the same.
Did I say the same? Yeah. Was it me taking the losses?
No, I don't know.
Subconscious.
I think
that's subconscious. That's what being an entrepreneur will do to you.
Literally. The whole must be greater than the sum of its parts. So Kevin and I are better off, and so is the world together. And we both fundamentally, sincerely believe that. This journey's been really, really challenging, and it would really not be enjoyable.
That's what I was trying to say.
And dude, you made it really fun. You'd always make it really fun.
I appreciate that. I appreciate
he's always
that.
funny when things are challenging, so he's always funny.
Things are quite challenging. Amy, thank you so very much. Everybody for attending, thank you so very much. We appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, as I have mentioned in the previous episodes, Alan and I just launched our first Next Level University online training course, $47. 30-day money-back guarantee, what it really takes to get to the next level, what we have learned as entrepreneurs, as people who are focused on self-improvement, as somebody who is consistent and focused on always getting to the next level. We package that into something easy to learn, and we want you to enjoy it. And we will let you know when it's out because it's not out yet.
And if you're not in Next Level Nation, get in Next Level Nation. There should be a link in the show notes if you're listening on the show. Thank you again, Amy, for all that you do. Thank you for everyone who submitted a question. We appreciate you, and we will talk to you soon.
And as always, we do not have fans. We have family.
Talk to you soon.